So, yeah, sure. And they said, where would you like to wait? Right here, right in the middle of the concourse, with all the people coming and going and chatting and eating and answering their telephones, right in the middle of Suvarnabhumi Airport. And see if I like testing myself, see if you can meditate in such a busy place. So I sat down. And if you want to ever do this, you create a bubble around yourself. And it's like the bubble technology. So I imagine a big bubble around myself, and inside my bubble it's like being in a cave. And so once I was inside my bubble, all the other people are outside, so I can actually focus inside and get a really nice, peaceful meditation, not disturbed at all by all the other people. So I can do that pretty easily. Trouble is, though, that sometimes, I was mentioning this morning at the BGF, how many were at the talk at the BGF this morning? Only a couple, okay. But this is an old story, because I used to, doing a bubble and not being very aware of the things around you, almost got me into really big trouble once. Because I was teaching down at Bunbury, south of Perth, teaching at the prison. And I had to go just after lunch, and then I had a free afternoon and teach in the evening. So in the afternoon, a free afternoon, what to do? And one of the quietest places was down by the beach. There's a long beach, went on forever, no one was there. So I went there just after lunch, maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it must be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and just sat there nice and quietly, no one was there, sitting on the beach, crossed my legs, was meditating there for a couple of hours, in my little bubble, quite inside myself, not at all aware of what's going on around me, but really aware of deep inside. And when I came out of meditation, nice and peaceful and happy, then I noticed there's somebody sitting next to me, and somebody sitting on the other side. I never noticed them come because you were deep inside. And I looked at the person on the left of me, and it was this gorgeous, blonde girl, about 17 years of age, in a bikini. And I looked at the girl in my right. She was another 17-year-old, beautiful young woman, also in a bikini, a brunette. Oh my God, what's happening? And it was very lucky, this was about 20 years ago, before people had smartphones. If someone had a smartphone and taken a photo, there was Ajahn Brahm at the beach with his 2 beautiful bimbos on either side, I would have been in huge trouble. And I was totally innocent. I was just meditating there for a couple of hours, and they talked to me afterwards. They said what happened was that's why I know they were 17, they just finished the school year, which finishes at 17. It's the American system in Australia. So you finish at 17, do your exams, and then you go to university if you pass. And they had just finished their very last examination of school. They just finished. They were free of school, looking forward to university or other colleges, maybe some travel. And as soon as they finished, into their bathers and down to the beach to celebrate. And 2 of the girls, they went over there to celebrate, and they saw this weird fellow in a brown robe sitting so perfectly still. And they were really interested. Who is this, and how can you sit so perfectly still like that? And so they were just sitting on either side of me. They waited for about half an hour for me to come out of my meditation. And they were really fascinated. And they asked me all these questions about meditation and Buddhism. But for once, I decided not to spend too much time answering their questions. I got up and left as soon as I possibly could. Because even though it was innocent, what did it look like? So I was very lucky to get away with that one. So these days I don't. You find a nice secluded place to meditate, but not on the beach. It's not in Australia. So that was a big mistake. So anyway, you find a nice quiet place. It's difficult to meditate, in noisy places unless you've got very good meditation, been practicing for a long time. So most times we have retreats. We have Buddhist centers. We have the BGF. we have other places where you can just go and find a nice quiet place to meditate. Trying to do it at home is a bit difficult. Especially that sometimes, if you've got a partner there, maybe your husband, and said, "What are you doing?" So I'm just meditating. "Oh, good, you're doing nothing. Come and help me." Because they don't respect meditation, which is one of the big problems. So you go to the temple, that's okay, do it there. So you find a quiet place. That's the first thing. The next thing you do is you sit down comfortably. And I like this comfortable. I was mentioning this beforehand. If you don't get yourself comfortable when you start meditating, what happens is you get an ache here, a pain there. You have to move that way. You're sore. It really disturbs you. So it is important to get yourself comfortable, first of all. I will come back to this in a moment. And then you arouse mindfulness, not in front of you. This is one of those first mistranslations. It means as a priority. Put it top of the list. The first, it's a metaphor, paramukha. It doesn't mean right in front of you. It means the top of the list, giving it priority. So first of all, you don't go looking at the breath. You don't go contemplating stuff. You just got to get yourself a bit mindful first of all. In other words, to build up mindfulness until you're aware enough. And one good way of doing that is just simple present moment awareness. Because mindfulness is all about being in the present. If you're off in the future, worrying about what you're going to do next, worrying about the economy, worrying about politics, you're not here. Or if you're still lingering in the past, wondering about how much funds you raised yesterday at the dinner, worrying about what my monks are doing back in Bodhinyana Monastery, Perth, when I'm away, that you're not here. So it's important to develop mindfulness to be here. You know that people say, "How can you talk like this, Ajahn Brahm, because you travel around so much?" I never go anywhere. I get on the aircraft, I don't move, I sit perfectly still on my seat. The aircraft does all the flying, I do the sitting. So I don't move. I sit down, close my eyes. When I open my eyes, I'm in a different country. I don't move. The world moves, but not me. That is how to be a monk who doesn't travel anywhere. It's a different perspective, that's all. So, you learn how to be here. But when I do visit different cities, I always like telling the story that it's very rare to see human beings in today's world. In October, I was in London. In, say, September, I was in Bangkok. Next month, I will be in Sri Lanka. But in all those very places with huge populations. What's the population of Malaysia? West Malaysia? 29 million. And how many of those are human beings? And how many are human goings? They're not being here. They're always going somewhere. Always doing things. Never being here. So are you human beings or human doings? Which one are you? So for the goodness sake, for the next 8-9 days, however long we've got here, become a human being. Be here instead of going somewhere. And then you're developing the first part of mindfulness, present moment awareness, being here. Even when you have, I shouldn't really talk about that, I've already started. Even having breakfast and lunch tomorrow morning. I made a big mistake there. I shouldn't have thought and talked about food on the first night when you're keeping 8 precepts. I do apologize for that. But when you do eat in the morning, just be with your food. And how do you do that? if you use chopsticks or a spoon, you bring one morsel of food into your mouth, put it in your mouth, and don't pick up another morsel. Don't go around messing around with your food, with your chopsticks. I've seen that so often. You're not paying attention to what you're eating. You're messing around with your chopsticks. If it's a spoon, what most people do, they've got one piece of food in their mouth, chewing it, another piece waiting in line, the third one is already heaped up, and they're thinking about what they're going to have next. There's so many morsels of food ahead of themselves. So when you are eating, just one piece of food at a time, put it in your mouth, taste it, enjoy it, and don't even think of what you're going to eat next. Being present moment. When you are walking back to your room, be wherever you happen to be. Don't be finished here and start walking, already be up in your room, wondering what you're going to do when you get there. Always learn how to be here. And that is starting to arouse your awareness in the present moment. So once you got that awareness in the present moment, you're sitting down, walking meditation, you're here in this moment, then you can start focusing your awareness on the first satipatthana, which is on your body. What does that mean? And for the last couple of years, I've really been focusing on this in my teachings. And this is actually where you get these great results, what I was saying yesterday or whatever, about people who are transcending their arthritis and not having arthritis anymore. People whose tumours are disappearing. Another gentleman who had this terrible, terrible eczema all over his body. Never seen anything so bad. And after 9 days retreat, it had 99% gone. He was so happy afterwards. How does this happen? How do you overcome, like I overcame once? I had this terrible, terrible food poisoning. It's what I call an occupational hazard, because I don't know what you put in the food when you offer it to me. It's really just very dangerous. You give me something, say, oh, this is very good for you, this is very delicious. Maybe for you, but I don't know what my tummy makes of that. So I eat all this different food. I try to keep a sort of, just a few dishes which I think are safe. Not because I like them, because they're safe. They haven't got too many sort of spices and curries and all goodness knows what else in it. And sometimes, this age of being a monk, sometimes you get tummy ache. And this time was worse than tummy ache. This was food poisoning. And when you get food poisoning, you get these contractions in your gut. Ah! Oh! Ah! And it's important. I know that BGF does public speaking courses. Please add a bit of drama into the public talks. That wakes people up. That makes them interesting. Ah! But that's true to what it was like. I was in the cave where I live in Serpentine. Many of you visited my cave. It's a tourist attraction now. It's my bedroom, but it's also a tourist attraction. And sometimes I'll go in there to take a rest, and there's people, I've got to wait to get in my own bedroom till all the tourists are out. Taking the photographs. Please, I need to take a rest. Oh, just one more photograph. Anyway, that's my cave. I was in my cave, and it was really painful. If you ever had food poisoning, it's really, really very painful. Usually you just call an ambulance, go to hospital. But for me, I don't need to call an ambulance. By the time it gets there anyway, you'll probably be dead. So I have my other ways of dealing with it. Another way was the first satipatthana. Just be very mindful of the pain, which means you focus on that feeling, that physical feeling. You zoom in on that feeling. So it's like you fill your whole screen and everything else just falls off the screen. All you have is the pain of the contractions, and when they disappear and then they come back again, You're really fully with it, not trying to escape, not trying to make it better, just being with it, nothing else. And actually there is something else, because another way of talking about mindfulness is also the kindness, the kindfulness. The kindfulness was not trying to soften it, but was literally opening the door of my heart to that terrible pain. That is what kindness is. Not may you get better, like I was saying this afternoon or something. Not may all beings be happy and well. That's not kindness. Opening the door of my heart to all beings, no matter what they are, who they are, what they're doing, how they feel. Accepting, embracing things as they are. So that's what I did, the kindfulness. Open the door of my heart, totally, 100% to this feeling of pain. Now, one thing which mindfulness does give you is the opportunity to get feedback. Feedback means you can see how things like pain change. It's not always the same intensity. Sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes it gets less intense. The pain alters. So you get feedback from mindfulness. You see how the pain changes. And from that, you get some insight, and especially the connection between the attitude of your mind and the intensity of that pain. If I don't like it, I want to get rid of it, I can't stand it any longer, it gets worse. When I try to get rid of it, it gets intense. But when I'm kind to it, I open the door of my heart to it, 100%. You can stay here. It's not going to kill me. It's just an intense pain, that's all. When I'm with it, I get this feedback that the pain gets less. And that's all I needed. The feedback, the attitude of mind, which made the pain a tiny bit less, and a tiny bit less, and a tiny bit less, and a tiny bit less. All the time the feedback was telling me I was going in the correct direction. If I tried to get rid of it, it would get worse. It would start to hurt more. I mean, I lost the path. But when I did kindness, the kindfulness, then it got less. And even I was amazed in my cave how it only took 20 minutes. 20 minutes from being in really big trouble, intense pain. You couldn't resist it. You were screaming with the contractions, the cramps. Ah! You couldn't help it. It was automatic. 20 minutes later, my tummy was just as peaceful as you could possibly imagine. Totally healthy, no cramps, no aches, nothing at all. That surprised me how powerful this first satipatthana is to overcoming pains and sicknesses in your body. Mindfulness with kindness. That's how it works. And to this day, I sometimes wonder the science behind what I was doing. Because I never studied medicine, but I know enough that food poisoning is some bacteria which get into your guts and multiply and cause havoc. They're having a big rave party in your intestines. They're going ballistic in there. And that's why you get this great irritation of the food poisoning and the cramps. And I wonder what on earth were those bacteria up to after I'd done 20 minutes of this beautiful meditation. Because they were just so calm and peaceful. There was no irritation at all. And then I thought, this is my theory. It's only a theory, it hasn't been proved. The only time I've ever seen pictures of bacteria, these little blobs with all these tentacles coming off them, that's what I remember anyway. And I imagine these little blobs of bacteria in my guts had all their tentacles all crossed in full lotus. They were all meditating, which was why they weren't causing me any trouble. They'd calm down and behave. So I don't know if that's really what happened, whether bacteria can meditate, but anyway, they weren't causing any trouble anymore, and of course it never came back. Now that is how you can use this meditation to actually to overcome pains and sicknesses. I've done this many times. Most recent time, last February, I was invited to Korea. There's a big meditation masters conference. And part of that was we had to give talks, discussions. Ajahn Brahm was there also. And we had to do this walk up in the mountains, minus 15 degrees centigrade in the middle of the day. That's my sort of temperature. Ah, so nice. Minus 15. It doesn't get better than this. I like the cold. Anyway, I like the cold, but the day of the big event, I woke up with a cold, sneezing. And I thought, this is going to be terrible. In a half an hour's time, you've got to go on TV. And you can't go on TV sneezing all over the camera. So I was in big trouble. No medication, can't see a doctor, so what to do? Meditate. It takes 10 or 15 minutes to stop all of the sneezing, all of the cold. Totally gone. It amazes me sometimes of what you can do. And what all it is, being aware of that part of the body. In this case, it was the nose, with all this gut coming out of it. And being so aware of it, and so opening the door of your heart to it, so kind to it, that the whole thing, you could feel it relaxing. You can feel it, the irritation, the sinuses, which were all overreacting by secreting all this mucus. You could actually feel all of that getting less and less and less and less and less until it just stopped. Gone. No more problem. And this is where it's really powerful. Now, I was mentioning the talk this morning at the BGF. Why is it, or was it, no, that's last night. Why is it that this Buddhism gets really powerful in the world? Why is it that thousands of people are coming to these Buddhist centers? Why is it? Because this is some very deep and effective teachings. And this one was particularly about every year, twice a year I go to the cancer group in Perth. And I've been going there for such a long time that when they got a new campus, all paid for by the government, I was a guest of honor to open it together with the Premier. They got me there because I've been teaching them for over 26 years. And it's been working, taking people with cancer and getting them past the cancer, getting them free of the cancer. And this is actually how it works. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but I think in Australia it's 1 in 3 women get breast cancer. 1 in 3. That is really something which obviously you get very worried about, concerned about. It's not that hard to avoid if you know how to meditate, especially that first satipatthana. And okay, you're paying attention now, because this is serious stuff. This is your life and death. And I'm saying this because it works. Great results. So what you do, you're aware of your body. Instead of going for some breast scan with a big machine, which sometimes can see things, sometimes it can't, if you are aware of your body, and you can actually feel your body just by being aware of it and focusing on it, zooming in on it, you can actually get to know your breasts. Feel them, with your mind. And if you keep practicing like that, you soon have enough awareness. You will know something's not balanced in there. Something's wrong. I say wrong is not the correct word, but it's imbalance. And you can feel that. It's very hard to put it into words simply because we don't have words for these sensations. But you can actually feel that there. Then what do you do? You're aware of it. Change attitudes in your mind towards it. Open the door of your heart to it. And then feedback will come. You'll notice that feeling change. The sensation does not remain constant. It gets worse, it gets less balanced, more imbalanced. It does change. And that feedback is where we get training from. That's how we learn. That's how kids learn how to walk. That's how we learn how to lift things up. That's how we learn how to write. We get the feedback. We write a line, and then we get the feedback. That was wrong. So you try again until you can do it. The feedback is what learning is all about. And you get feedback of how you can relax and ease that part of your body. Just like I learned how to ease big pain in my tummy, sinus problems, whatever you need to do, it's so easy to do once you understand what's happening. So you can relax. I call it relaxing because that's the best word I can get for it. Easing, making it healthy, making it powerful, making it positive, whatever it is you want to call it. You can actually feel it getting healthier. Balanced, free of that tightness. You're overcoming your breast cancers, your prostate cancers, whatever's going on in there. You can do that to any part of your body. If you become aware of your body, you get to know it really, really well. Once you get to know, you can feel there's something wrong here. In this part, you don't have to know what it is. You don't have to know what the organ is, but you feel there's something over here is just not right. It's not balanced. Zoom in on it with your mindfulness. Sitting down, cross-legged or on the chair, you can feel it, and you can relax it all away. Whatever was that sickness, or whatever was that injury, vanishes. Now, that makes it important. A lot of times, when people come on meditation retreats, they fall asleep. Or they go wandering off into fantasy land. Or they go planning what they're going to do when they leave. But when it's something as important as overcoming things like cancer, now that makes it important. That means you pay attention. This is not just messing around, fun and games. This is important. That's why I mention that. It motivates you to do this properly. So how that means in meditation, I sit down cross-legged, I close my eyes. The first thing I do, I just quick run through my body, from the legs up to the head, just to adjust it. Make sure my feet are nice and comfortable. My legs are just right. My bum is not tight against the cushion. I look at it and I fidget. Get my sort of back nice and straight. Sometimes I need to lean back. You find out what you need. What's comfortable for you. Don't look at the books. Don't go following teachers. Ajahn Brahm sits like this, so I'm going to do the same. No, don't be someone as stupid as that. You feel it yourself. What is right for you? And then you can put your hands wherever you want. Tibetans put it on here. Theravadas put it this way. You can put it like this if you want. On your head. I don't care what you do with your hands, as long as they're comfortable. So get your hands comfortable. Get your shoulders relaxed. Go up to your head. Make sure your head's nice and relaxed. Just to get the body in a good position by movement, by adjusting with your eyes closed. The reason why we close our eyes is because you can be much more focused with your eyes closed. If your eyes are open, you can see everybody else, you can see what this person's doing and that person's doing. It's just too distracting. Too much of your brain is taken up with dealing with visual stuff. You close that off, you've got more gigabytes to devote to feelings. Not so distracted. You're focused. So you get yourself nice and comfortable physically, just by moving. But that is not enough, just adjusting your posture, because then that's when I start to look in my body for something which is not balanced, irritating or even in pain. I always do that because it's a great training. Even if there's nothing much happening, my body's pretty okay, I still focus on something. Look, what's happening? It's tummy ache? Okay. Stay with the tummy. Focus. Zoom in. Sometimes when you say focusing, we don't really know what focusing is, but we all use Google Maps. Zoom in. So you just feel, if it's my tummy, I just feel that part of the tummy which is, it's very hard to give it words. It's tense, it's aching, there's something which is not normal there. You focus in on it. This is where you get mindfulness of that part of the body. Once you've got mindfulness of that part of the body, then you can see the feeling change. Worse, better. And once you notice it change, you can soon learn the association. When I'm worried about it, when I try and get rid of it, when I'm doing things with it, it gets more tense. The tummy ache gets worse. When I just let it be, embrace it, allow it to exist, just be with it. Be kind, kindfulness. That's why kindfulness is taking off in the West. You can Google that word now and you get a lot of apparently kindfulness meditation techniques and courses. It's not just a BGF, but then you can find out that this kindfulness, I call that the key. You can relax everything. Now, as a side issue here, it was quite surprising to me when I started to teach this, how few people knew what kindness was. And compassion. They'd heard that word. They could spell it, they could actually translate it into Chinese and into Bahasa, but they didn't really know what it meant. It's one of those assumptions we have. Kindness, I know what kindness is. But there was a few honest people, they said, actually, I don't know what you're talking about, compassion. What is compassion? What is kindness? This is where you learn what that thing is. What relaxes your body, that is what kindness is. Sometimes people say, well, I know we're supposed to let go. But how do you let go? I've been trying to let go for years. I know it's important, but I don't really know what it is. They're being quite honest, and I really admire them for their honesty. What letting go is, what kindness is what relaxes that part of the body. What takes away the tension, what takes away the pain, the ache, the irritation, and it all just relaxes and becomes very calm and peaceful. The body does that. And this is where you learn what letting be means. You've done something. It's an attitude of mind, and you get the feedback. It gets so beautiful, so relaxed. You're kind to the body, and it just relaxes. When it becomes so at ease, you don't have any tightness in the body. Sometimes your body is like this whole web of elastic bands, stretched sometimes to the limit, pulled really tight. Or another simile, instead of elastic band, guitar strings. I know Victor knows his guitar strings. He'd always be playing the guitar really well as well. So, guitar strings, you know that you've got to tighten them to get any sound out of them. But imagine you let go of both ends of the guitar string. So there was no tightness and tension on it at all. Then you touch it or try and flick it, you would get no sound at all. When it was let go, nothing upsets it. Nothing makes it reverberate. When your body is so relaxed, nothing harms it. Just like a guitar string which is totally loose, nothing can make it emit a sound. So I imagine often my body, if it's an ache somewhere, a tension somewhere, I imagine like a string or elastic band being pulled on both ends, pulled and pulled. It's called stress, tension. I imagine it being pulled. And what do I do to relieve that tension? Let go of both ends. And when I let go of both ends, it gets loose, it relaxes. And the, and the pain, which is like the sound of the guitar, when it's tight, just vanishes. Yeah, it's relaxing, letting go. Or sometimes, I imagine there's some types of pains, like things are squashed, really tight, like a knot of pain. And I imagine it expanding. One way of doing that, one exercise, is you feel a knot of pain in your body somewhere, and imagine putting that pain into a box which just fits outside the pain. The pain just fits into the box. The box is just big enough to contain the pain. And then imagine the box expanding and expanding, getting bigger. And you think, well, that's just spreading the pain all over the body. Exactly, it's diluting it. And you expand it till it's all in the body and keep on expanding it till it fills the room, expanding it till it fills the whole of Malaysia, the whole of the planet, the whole of the solar system. By this time, you can't feel it anymore because you've let it go. You've expanded it instead of squashing it, compressing it. Now that overcomes a lot of pains. And it's an attitude of mind, opening the door of your heart instead of closing it. So that is actually where we can feel what kindness, what letting go actually is. And you experience these things for yourself. Directly, an ache, a pain somewhere, and you let it go and it vanishes. It goes. Or, like I said this morning, many of you know Ajahn Brahm. He's one of the products from my monk factory in Perth. Years ago I said it's a factory, we release products every few years. Once they got the QC, he's got the QC stamp on him, so I can let him go and teach all over the place. But he had a family crisis about a year ago, his sister, breast cancer. Well, she's only, maybe late 30s, early 40s, with 2 young children. And he thought that maybe breast cancer is not that bad. Most women actually recover from it, except when it metastasized and spreads over the body. Once it starts spreading, that is serious stuff. And that's what happened to his sister. It metastasized over her body. And now he's sitting next to him, talk to him every day when he's at Bodhinyana. So he told me he was really concerned, and really he thought his sister was a goner. He thought she wouldn't survive. But when the family weren't really interested in Buddhism, but when your son's a Buddhist monk and gets a famous Buddhist monk, then you get a bit interested. But when someone gets cancer, that's when they get really interested. So, when it metastasized and nothing was working, Ajahn Brahm said, go and listen to Ajahn Brahm's meditation. So they did. And in October, the whole family came to my retreat in London with cancer. She was as bald as Ajahn Brahm. So I said, you become a nun. You got the bald head, nothing much more to do. But she had 2 kids, so she can't become a nun. But there she was, meditating, and exactly what I've been teaching just now. And after the retreat, only a few days after the retreat, she had another scan. It's a monthly scan she has to have, just to see how things are going. And that's when Ajahn Brahm came to tell me. She had 4 tumors before the meditation. After the retreat, 2 tumors totally vanished. Not there anymore. The other two tumors diminished by 80% each. Shrunk. Only a fifth of what they were before in size. That is impressive. 4 deadly tumours, 2 gone, the other one reduced by 80% each. Basically, she's going to make it. Now that is serious good news. Why? Because this satipatthana, being aware of your body, getting the feedback, knowing how it works, can relax your body so much. It's amazing just what you can overcome physically. Diseases. Many doctors are these researchers experimenting with this, and they're very happy that we're going that a bit further. It's not just mindfulness. Mindfulness is not enough. Just being aware of it. It's getting the feedback, giving the kindness, the letting go of the kindness, and you get incredible results from this. So, even if you haven't got any diseases, just sitting down and being kind, you focus on one part of the body, relax it. I usually do at least 2 parts of my body. Find somewhere else which is aching or irritating, got an itchy nose. Instead of scratching it, just focus on it. See what I need to do to actually to lessen that itch. And soon it vanishes. Especially when you train like this over a few years, or over me, many years, you know exactly how your body's going. And then you find out exactly where it is and how to look after it. And that's very powerful. So I usually go for 2 places in my body first and really relax it. And by the time I finish relaxing my body, when I meditate, feels so at ease. It's so incredibly relaxed. You look through the body, it's not an ache, a pain, a tension anywhere. It's like you've just been soaking in a bath. And everything is just so at ease. Like you've just been to a spa. Had hot oil on your back, the hot stones and massage. You know, the hot bar. I've never been to a spa, I'm just making it up, but that's what I've seen on the pictures. Don't need to go to a spa, it's too expensive, I can't afford it. But anyway, I don't need to anyway. Half an hour and you're more relaxed than in a spa. You feel just so perfectly, so nice. It's called the pleasure of relaxation. So I actually relax my body until my body feels pleasurable. And I focus on that pleasure of relaxation. So first of all, I did it just to investigate. And what happens is your body gets more relaxed. The perception of the pleasure of a relaxed body takes your body into a deeper relaxation. And now you're really getting a very relaxed and healthy body. You know it feels so good. You know that must be really healthy for your body, which is why I don't get any sicknesses. You ask Ajahn Brahm when he comes in next time, you go to the monastery, ask who the sick monks are. Not me. All these other monks that go to see the doctor for this and doctor for that and all this other stuff, and me, I just work much harder than any other monk. Nothing happens to me. That's very good news for you guys, because it means I'm going to have to work for the BGF for another 50 years of where I'm going. So you can feel that good health in your body, and you can teach it to others. But you get so relaxed, you get so peaceful, and then you arouse mindfulness together with kindness. The two are now strong, and you know they're strong because you can feel the result on the body. Really beautifully relaxed. So you can let go of the body because it's not a problem at all. Perfectly relaxed, at ease, ready to go into the mind. So, your body is at ease, but you've also spent all this time generating this awareness and kindness. And these 2 tools, the awareness and kindness, are what we use to develop the very deep meditations. When people say, well, what do you do? It's just to be aware and be kind, that's all. Or if you want to say aware and let go. That's all you do in meditation, nothing else. How do you do that? So the next thing I look at in the mind is what I now call, I've been developing the language for this, what I now call the peaceometer. Just like in your car, on the dashboard you've got the speedometer, you've got the temperature gauge, you've got the revs, how much revs on the car, you've got all these indicators, all these meters on your car to tell you what's going on. So say the speedometer. You've got that needle, and if it goes too far to the right, you're going too fast, you're going to get in trouble by the police. So it gives you feedback, so you lessen the pressure on the accelerator. And you're watching the needle, it gives you the feedback, how much pressure to put on the speedometer, so you get the right speed, not too fast, not too slow. It's a feedback mechanism. You're mindfulness of the needle, and you're feeling the pressure on the accelerator so you can adjust it to get just the right speed. So, peaceometer. That's in your mind. I call it peaceometer. Eventually you get to know what I'm talking about. How much peace of mind have you right now? Or the opposite. How, agitated are you? Is your mind? So one end of the peaceometer is really peace. The other one is agitation. Now, to encourage mindfulness, so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about, right now, every one of you, you don't need to tell me, but tell yourself, give that a number from 1 to 10. 1 means you're very peaceful, 10 means you're very agitated, and be honest. I'm not going to listen to you. How peaceful are you? How agitated are you? From 1 to 10. Now, once you've given yourself a number, roughly, you don't have to be accurate, roughly. Now, what do you do to bring that number down? From 5 to 4, from 4 to 3. What makes you more peaceful in your mind? You're aware not of the feeling in the body anymore, of the peaceometer. If you want to know which satipatthana that is, that's number 3, being aware of the mind. How peaceful are you? And what do you need to do? What attitude of mind brings that peaceometer down, 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 down? And you will find, if you want to, I'm going to get jhanas meditation. The peaceometer goes way up to agitated. Goes up to 10. I want to get something. I'm really fed up with this. It's up to 10. When you don't want anything, when you don't want to get rid of anything, when you're just being, opening the door of your heart to this moment, not wanting anything in the whole world, totally content to be stupid, unenlightened, and it goes way down. You become peaceful. And you are feeling that. Because a lot of time when people meditate, they just go straight onto the breath way too soon. They don't know what the heck they're doing, and they get really confused. So why not go for what's really important? Peace. Isn't that what we're trying to meditate for? For peace? Have peace of mind. So calm and still, to hell with jhanas and enlightenment. Just be peaceful. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And knowing how to be peaceful by learning how to be aware of the peaceometer in your mind and learning feedback, how to move that needle down, 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 become more and more peaceful. And what you'll find, letting go, kindness, opening the door of your heart, not fighting the world, embracing this moment, no past, no future, just being here and being happy to be here, no matter what here happens to be. Then you find you get peaceful. Even you will notice cuddling a teddy bear brings down that needle, and you become far more peaceful when you've got a teddy bear in your lap. When you understand what the peaceometer is, this works. Very quick, getting from 7 to 6 very quickly. So this, we're aware of what works. the skillful means to become really more and more and more peaceful. Now, once you're peaceful enough, then you can start doing things like watching the breath. And you know you're peaceful enough because if you start watching the breath at the right time, it's the easiest thing in the world to watch. Just watch the breath go in, the breath go out, the breath go in, the breath go out. For minute after minute after minute, the easiest thing in the whole world. Why? Because you prepared the mind enough to begin with. You relaxed your body, make it very easy vehicle to take into meditation because it's so relaxed, no aches and pains anywhere. At the same time, you develop mindfulness and kindness very strong, or mindfulness and letting go, enough to have a peaceful body. You've taken that same two attitudes of mind, awareness and kindness, kindness letting go, onto your peaceometer, and your mind becomes very, very relaxed. All the thoughts of the past and the future, any thoughts at all, the thoughts aren't the problem, they're the symptom of an agitated mind. So, if you've got an agitated mind, you will think. That's what an agitated mind does. A peaceful mind hardly thinks at all. A very taut guitar string makes a lot of noise, high pitch, just like you're thinking. When you loosen the pressure or the tension on the string, the sound of the guitar string goes down, 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 until it vanishes, just like your thoughts. So your thoughts are just like the resonance on the guitar string when something plucks it. But when your guitar string is so loose, something plucks it, it doesn't make any sound at all. Your mind is so peaceful, any impingement does not create a thought. You're peaceful. That's how we overcome thoughts. The thinking mind, we don't focus on the thinking mind, we focus on what's behind the thinking mind, agitation. Look to the peaceometer, calm the peaceometer down, you soon get skilled in that, which means hardly any thoughts. So all the obstacles to meditation are dealt with. You can watch the breath so easily, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Not a thought in the world to disturb you. How simple and easy meditation is when you know how to do it. But that's only the start. You ain't heard anything, ain't heard it yet, baby. More is to come. And this is what I'm going to be talking about later on. But this is a preparation. So, this is how meditation works. So Satipatthana, because if you see the way the Satipatthana is put in the Eightfold Path, after Satipatthana, stillness, samadhi, deep meditations, and jhanas, all coming next. Whether you like it or not, it just happens. So, that is the talk about learning how to begin the meditation with the Satipatthana on, it's actually the first two, on the body and also the feelings and also on the mind. The peaceometer. See if you can learn that. I'll repeat it many times over the next few days. Once you get to understand this is such a marvelous trick, skillful means to develop deep meditation. And you heard it at the BGF first. This is where we innovate meditation. This is not repeating what other people do. This is cutting edge mindfulness. Okay, so now we can have any questions from the floor. I'm not going to do the question in there, that'll be tomorrow. Anyone have any comments about what we're talking about today? It's okay to ask a question. Yes. How to create the bubble? It's just you don't need to do it here because most people are nice and calm. But it just use your imagination, use visualization. Visualization is not that hard to do. You all used to do it when you were kids, and you're so great at visualizing. Now there's another little skillful means I'm going to teach later on. Just give you a little heads up on it, as they say. But sometimes to start the meditation, I remember as a kid, we'd imagine we were a tree. Remember doing that as a kid? Imagine a tree, putting your arms out, swaying in the wind. And you really get into it after a while. Because I remember teaching that to kids when I was teaching kids as a school teacher. And they really get it. They could imagine there were a tree swaying in the wind. And I was getting into it as well. Your powers of imagination are great. If you are an actor, and sometimes you have to act in a play for the BGF or something, and you really get into it. You role play. You can imagine what it's like to be Angulimala, like, it was in that video. Stop. Kids love that stuff. And I like sort of role playing and my stomach poisoning, food poisoning. So we can all act and role play. So I ask people to imagine, when you sit down and close your eyes, imagine you're the Buddha, sitting under a Bodhi tree. Nothing more to attain. You've achieved everything. Nothing more to do. Imagine what it must feel like. Imagine that. Totally at peace with the whole world. No attachments left. No unfinished business. No jobs. Totally enlightened. Imagine that. You really get into it. Using a bit of commentary. You really get, wow, and you're really peaceful, really quickly. It's just role-playing. You almost, not sort of fully Buddha, you can't imagine totally, but you get quite a long way down the journey when you imagine what it's like to be a Buddha. If that doesn't work, you sit down, you close your eyes, imagine you are Donald Trump. What does that do to your head? We can role-play. So you use your imagination, your visualization, but with the bubble, imagine yourself being in this big bubble, like in a container, like in a glass box. I like round rather than square. And then outside you can't hear. It's soundproof. Because obviously I live in a bubble a lot in my cave, and that is soundproof, but we can't see through it. But I imagine I'm in my cave, sitting in my cave back in Serpentine. I can visualize it now. And straight away, you guys disappear. It just needs a bit of training to visualize. And then it's like teaching your mind, don't listen out there. You're in your bubble, this is your space. Stay in your own space. So you can try that, experiment, and you'll get feedback. See what works, what doesn't work, until you learn how to do it. Thank you for that question. Any other questions you have? Okay, so it is now 6 minutes past 9. We're supposed to finish at 9:30, but this is the first evening, and I think it's fair enough to let people go to bed early tonight. You've just arrived, get yourselves settled in. Those of you who want, actually, you can't really meditate too long, because this place is have to be closed at 9:30? I think so, somebody told me that. So if you do want to carry on meditating, please go back to your room to meditate longer, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. And it's 6 o'clock we do the chanting. What time does the room actually open up in the morning? 15 minutes before. So any of you who want to get up earlier has to be in your room again to meditate. It's nice in your room. Okay, so for now, we wish everybody a calm and peaceful night. But before we do that, 3 mega sadhus, please. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hee hee hee. Don't forget the 3 hee-hees. Okay, so have a beautiful night, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning. Good night.